The iPhone 17 Pro is not just another yearly upgrade. From everything we know so far, it is shaping up to be one of the most important iPhones in years. Apple has often been accused of playing it safe, of only making small changes from one model to the next. But this time, the leaks and reports tell a different story. The iPhone 17 Pro could bring real leaps in photography, video, power, and even repairability. For the first time in a while, it feels like Apple might actually be surprising us. Let's start with what everyone cares about most: the camera. Apple has called every iPhone camera the best ever. But most of those upgrades have been small. A new sensor here, a little more detail there. This year is different. For the first time, Apple may be giving us 3 full 48-megapixel sensors in one iPhone. That means the main lens, the ultra-wide, and even the telephoto lens could all shoot at the same massive resolution. The telephoto is where things get interesting. Until now, it's been stuck at 12 megapixels, and zoom has always felt like a compromise. You could either get a clean fixed step like 3x or 5x, or you had to deal with digital zoom, which always looked worse. With the iPhone 17 Pro, that could finally change. Reports say Apple is working on a telephoto lens that can move internally. In plain terms, this means continuous optical zoom. No more awkward jumps from one zoom level to the next. Instead, you could glide smoothly from a portrait to a wide landscape shot, all while keeping sharpness. Think about what that means in practice. Instead of pulling your phone up, tapping zoom, and hoping the picture still looks good, you just pinch or slide and get the exact shot you want. Whether you want 3.5x zoom, 5x, or even 8x, the image could stay clean and crisp. Some leaks suggest the telephoto might reach 8x zoom. We don't know yet if that will be full optical resolution or a mix of optical and digital, but even so, it's a huge step. For iPhone photography, it could be the biggest leap since the jump to 48 megapixels on the main camera. But the story doesn't stop with photos. Video could see an upgrade Apple fans have been waiting years for. 8K recording. Samsung has offered 8K since 2020, but Apple never followed. The reason was simple. Back then, 8K video on phones wasn't very good. It looked noisy, it drained storage, and it often looked worse than clean 4K. But now, with 3 large 48-megapixel sensors, Apple has the hardware to finally do it right. Imagine recording a video in 8K on your wide lens, then switching to the telephoto without losing quality. Or shooting a clip on the ultra-wide and later cropping in without it looking blurry. Even if you don't own an 8K TV, the detail matters. When you edit, you can zoom into parts of the frame without losing sharpness. For creators, vloggers, or even parents filming their kids, that's a huge upgrade. Your videos become more flexible, more professional, and future-proof. Now, hardware is only half the story. Apple knows not everyone wants to mess with settings, and that's why the main camera app has always been simple. But for advanced users, that simplicity can be limiting. Professionals want more control. They want sliders for exposure, manual focus, custom white balance, and pro-level video tools. This year, Apple might finally give it to them with a brand new Pro Camera app. Think of it as having 2 apps on one iPhone. The regular camera app stays simple and friendly for everyday users. But if you're serious about photography, you open the Pro Camera app. Suddenly, you have all the advanced tools you've been wishing for built right in. No more relying on third-party apps. No more clunky workarounds. Apple giving this kind of control would send a clear message. The iPhone 17 Pro is not just a phone, it's a professional camera in your pocket. But not all changes are as exciting. Some are more controversial. Take the hardware buttons. Last year, Apple introduced a new camera button. The idea sounded good, but in practice it felt awkward. Many people said it made photos shaky or that it triggered by accident. Instead of scrapping the idea, Apple seems to be doubling down. Rumors say the iPhone 17 Pro could add a second button on the top edge. Will this finally make taking quick photos easier? Or will it just add more problems? That's something we'll only know once people use it. Apple has a history of introducing strange-feeling features that eventually become second nature. This button could be one of those, or it could be a mistake. Now let's talk power, because for many users, battery life is just as important as cameras. For years, Apple has lagged behind its competitors here. While Samsung and other Android brands have offered 5,000 mAh batteries, Apple stuck to smaller ones. That could finally change with the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Reports say it might pack a 5,000 mAh battery, the largest ever in an iPhone. The regular Pro might have around 4,500, and the smaller iPhone 17 Air could come in closer to 2,800. But the battery isn't just bigger. Apple might use a new metal encased design. This helps with heat management, making the phone safer and more efficient. It also allows for faster charging. Combine that with Apple's reputation for tight hardware and software integration, and we could be looking at a major jump in battery performance. A phone that not only lasts longer, but also charges faster and stays cooler. Repairability is another area where Apple has been under pressure. People have long criticized how difficult it is to fix iPhones. Batteries glued in with strong adhesives made replacements expensive and risky. The iPhone 17 Pro may finally address that. Apple is rumored to be using a new adhesive system that releases the battery with a tiny electric current. In practice, this means replacing a battery could become much easier, safer, and faster. For everyday users, it might not matter right away, but for repair shops and long-term device owners, this is a huge win. Of course, all of these upgrades come with a price. The iPhone 17 Pro is expected to start at 256 gigabytes of storage. That sounds generous, but the price could also be about $50 more than before. The Pro might start at $1,049, the Pro Max at $1,249, the Air around $949, and the standard iPhone 17 at $849. Apple will say you're paying a little more but getting double the storage. That's technically true, but it still feels like a way of making price hikes easier to swallow. Finally, the launch timeline. The event is rumored to be set for September 9th. Pre-orders could open on September 13th, and shipments may begin a week later. In less than a month, the iPhone 17 Pro could be in people's hands. That means we're not just talking about far-off rumors anymore. We're talking about a device that is very close to release. So to sum it up, the iPhone 17 Pro is bringing three 48-megapixel cameras, possible 8K video recording, a brand new Pro camera app, bigger batteries with faster charging, easier repairs, and a new pricing structure. Whether you love Apple or criticize them, this is not just a small update. This feels like a leap. A phone that doesn't just catch up to the competition, but one that could set the standard again. The iPhone 17 Pro has been the subject of constant leaks, whispers, and rumors. But what makes this year different is the level of excitement, even among longtime critics of Apple. Normally, when a new iPhone approaches, we hear the same old lines. Slightly better cameras, a little faster chip, maybe a new color, and then Apple proudly announces that it is the best iPhone yet. But with the iPhone 17 Pro, the story feels bigger. This time, the leaks point to upgrades that could actually change how we use the device every single day. Let's start with the one thing people care about most, the camera system. Year after year, Apple has refined its cameras. Each keynote features phrases like "our most advanced camera ever," and technically that has always been true. But for users, the difference between one generation and the next often feels small. A little more sharpness, a little better low light, but nothing life-changing. This time, however, the evidence suggests a leap rather than a step. For the first time, Apple might deliver not one, not two, but three 48-megapixel sensors across all lenses. That means the wide, the ultra-wide, and the telephoto could all shoot at the same high resolution. Until now, only the main lens had reached 48 megapixels, while the telephoto stayed stuck at 12. That gap often meant zoomed-in photos lacked the same detail as your regular shots. By raising the telephoto to 48 megapixels, Apple would be creating a balanced trio of lenses that all deliver equally high-quality results. The telephoto lens is where the real excitement begins. Traditionally, iPhone users have been stuck with fixed zoom steps. D2x or 3x, maybe 5x, but nothing in between. Sure, you could pinch to zoom, but past those fixed steps, quality dropped quickly. The result was often a choice between too little zoom or too much. Android competitors solved this years ago with periscope lenses and variable zoom, but Apple resisted. With the iPhone 17 Pro, that may finally change. Leaks suggest the telephoto lens could move internally. This sounds like a small technical detail, but in practice it could be revolutionary. Instead of awkward jumps between fixed points, you could slide smoothly through zoom levels. Imagine moving from 3.5x to 5x to 8x without ever noticing a drop in sharpness. Your zoom becomes fluid, like using the lens on a professional camera. Now let's put that into a real-world example. You're at a sports game sitting halfway up the stadium. With past iPhones, you had to choose between a wide shot of the field or an overly zoomed image that looked grainy. With continuous optical zoom, you could frame the shot exactly as you want it, maybe close enough to see the player's expression but still wide enough to capture the action. The detail would remain crisp at every level. That's the power of internal movement in the telephoto. Some rumors even say the telephoto could reach 8x zoom. That's an enormous leap compared to the 3x or 5x we've had before. The question is whether Apple will deliver this as true optical zoom at full resolution, or whether it will combine optical with smart cropping. Either way, the improvement is undeniable. For iPhone photography, this could be the biggest step forward since night mode first appeared. But photos are only half of the story. For years, Apple has dominated smartphone video. Ask any filmmaker or content creator, and they'll tell you the iPhone is still the king of mobile video. Smooth stabilization, great color, and reliable performance have kept Apple ahead. Yet there's been one obvious gap: 8K video. Samsung introduced 8K recording back in 2020, and other Android brands quickly followed. Apple stayed quiet. Why? The answer is simple. Early 8K video on phones wasn't very good. It was noisy, it ate up storage, and the results often looked worse than clean 4K. Apple doesn't like to launch features before they're ready. Instead, it waits until the technology can deliver consistent quality. With the iPhone 17 Pro, that moment may have arrived. 3 full 48-megapixel sensors finally give Apple the hardware it needs to do 8K properly. Think of the possibilities. You could shoot an entire video in 8K using the wide lens, then switch to the ultra-wide, then to the telephoto, all without losing resolution. You could film a wide shot of a landscape and later crop in on a small detail, like a bird in the distance, without losing sharpness. Even if you don't own an 8K TV, the benefit is still huge. Extra detail means more flexibility. For creators, vloggers, or even everyday users, 8K makes editing and reframing far easier. Let's pause here and consider what this means for Apple's ecosystem. The iPhone has always been more than a phone. It's a tool for creators, influencers, professionals, and students. Adding 8K video recording across all three lenses turns it into something far closer to professional equipment. You could use it for filmmaking, journalism, or even documentary work. The iPhone becomes not just a smartphone camera, but a pocket-sized production studio. And Apple knows that hardware isn't enough. That's why the company may introduce a brand new Pro camera app. For years, advanced users have begged for more manual controls. They wanted sliders for exposure, tools for custom white balance, manual focus options, and advanced video settings. Apple kept the default camera app simple, and for good reason. Most people don't want complexity. They just want to point, shoot, and get a nice picture. But professionals are different. They don't want auto settings making every decision. They want control. Until now, they had to rely on third-party apps, which often felt clunky compared to Apple's native tools. With the iPhone 17 Pro, that could finally change. The Pro Camera app would give serious users the controls they need, while keeping the default app clean and simple for everyone else. 2 apps, 2 audiences, 1 device. It's a smart move. By separating casual and pro tools, Apple makes the iPhone 17 Pro attractive to both beginners and experts. You can hand the phone to your parents, and they can still take easy snapshots. But if you're a filmmaker, you can dive into the Pro app and unlock settings that rival dedicated cameras. It's the best of both worlds built into one phone. Now let's shift gears to something less flashy but just as important: the hardware buttons. Last year, Apple introduced a new camera button. On paper, it made sense. A physical button dedicated to photography should make taking pictures faster and easier. But in reality, it wasn't perfect. Many users complained that pressing the button caused shakes, making photos blurry. Others said it was too easy to trigger by accident. Instead of helping, it sometimes got in the way. Apple could have scrapped the idea, but that's not how the company works. When Apple believes in a feature, it doubles down. Rumors say the iPhone 17 Pro could add another button on the top edge. The question is whether this will solve the problem or make it worse. Some features take years to perfect. Think about Face ID. At first it was clunky, but over time it became seamless. The same might happen with hardware camera buttons. Right now it feels uncertain, but in a few years it could be one of those things we can't live without. Of course, none of these upgrades matter if the phone dies too quickly. That brings us to battery life. For years, Apple has lagged behind its competitors in sheer battery size. While Android phones boasted massive 5,000 mAh batteries, iPhones often felt smaller. Apple leaned on efficiency instead of size, and while that worked, users still wanted more. The iPhone 17 Pro Max may finally deliver. Leaks suggest it could pack a 5,000 mAh battery, the biggest ever in an iPhone. The regular Pro might carry around 4,500, while the new iPhone 17 Air would be closer to 2,800. But it's not just about size. Apple is rumored to be using a new metal-encased battery design. This helps manage heat, which is critical for both safety and performance. It also allows for faster charging. So not only does the battery last longer, it charges faster and stays cooler. For users, that means less stress about running out of power even on heavy days. And here's another breakthrough: repairability. Apple has faced criticism for years about how hard it is to repair iPhones. Batteries were glued in tightly, making replacements expensive and risky. The iPhone 17 Pro might change that with a new adhesive system. Instead of brute force, the battery could release itself with a small electric current. Imagine how much easier that makes repairs. For users who keep their phones for years, this is a huge benefit. For repair shops, it's a game changer. Of course, we can't ignore the price. Every time Apple adds new technology, the price tends to rise. This year, the iPhone 17 Pro is expected to start with 256 gigabytes of storage. That sounds generous compared to 128 gigabytes from before. But there's a catch. The price could be about $50 higher. The Pro may start at $1,049, the Pro Max at $1,249, the Air at $949, and the standard iPhone 17 at $849. Apple will say you're getting double the storage for just a little more money. That's true, but it's also a clever way of raising the price without making it obvious. Finally, let's talk timing. The rumored launch event is set for September 9th. Pre-orders could open on September 13th, with shipments a week later. That means the iPhone 17 Pro is not some distant concept. It's just around the corner. In less than a month, people could be holding this phone in their hands. So what do we have? A phone with 348 megapixel lenses, possible 8K video recording, a brand new Pro camera app, the largest iPhone battery ever, easier repairability, and a new pricing structure. The iPhone 17 Pro feels like more than just another upgrade. Feels like Apple trying to leap ahead again. The question is, will it live up to the hype? Or will it simply catch up to features Android has had for years? Either way, this is shaping up to be one of the most important iPhone launches in a long time.